and Aspey.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Hello everybody, what's happening? So good to see so many people here. I'm so stoked to be able to come and share this message and talk about something that is just truly one of the most pressing and important issues that we are all faced with today in terms of us, our health, the health of humanity, the collective psyche of what we are doing to each other and to other beings on this planet, this environment, the animals, of course. This is such an important topic, and the beauty is that with a little bit of education, it can go a long, long way. Each and every one of us has the power to influence and change and make changes in our own lives that can benefit others so much. And the irony is that when we do better for others, it is also doing better for ourselves. Today, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk to you about how we, each and every one of us, can truly have an impact and make this world a more peaceful place for us all to live, for all earthlings to live. What I'm going to talk about today is something that I didn't care about at all only a few years ago. In fact, it was a boring topic to me. In fact, a David Attenborough documentary was like my worst nightmare. Now it's like my favorite thing. I'm like, put the gorillas back on, man. So much has changed, and that is a message I want people to realize as well, is that anybody can change. Anybody can change. A lot of people here have probably been dragged by their partners. Good work, partners. For everybody else that's already on board, there's going to be something here for you as well. But what I will start with is just my own personal journey of how I got to be in this position today, where I went from somebody who didn't care about these issues at all to somebody passionate enough to take a year-long vow of silence to raise awareness for the animals, to promote peace over violence. It's been a long journey, but why I'm here tonight is because I want to educate you in parts that maybe you don't already know about. The things that I'm going to tell you are things that I didn't know about a few years ago either. So I know a lot of people aren't aware. I want to help raise the awareness. I want to encourage better actions, better choices, and I want to inspire you to actually make them. So that you feel that light inside, you feel that fire burning, and you feel like you want to make a difference. They're my three goals tonight: to educate, to encourage, and to inspire. I'm not here to blame and shame. I'm not here to call anyone, any meat eater, a murderer. I'm going to think that. I'm not going to say that out loud. I'm kidding. Educate, encourage, inspire. That's my goal tonight. There's time for Q&A at the end if you've got any questions. So let's get started. And for me, when it all started was 13 years ago, when I was diagnosed with leukemia and lymphoma. I was so sick. I was 17 years old at the time, and I was given 6 weeks to live. They really didn't expect me to live at all. They thought that was going to be the end of me. And I got started on a very strong course of chemotherapy, where I was in hospital constantly for the first 6 weeks every day, and then I was out for a day, and then I went back in the next day with a very bad case of pneumonia. So bad actually that they thought if I'd have stopped maybe at even one more traffic light, I'd probably be dead. I couldn't breathe for days. I was on one of those masks, and every conscious thought was about getting enough oxygen into my lungs. There were times where it felt like I had a knife being ripped up my spine and someone was beating my legs with baseball bats. I was literally screaming out loud in the hospital. There were times where, well, one thing that happened is I put on about 60 pounds so fast that I actually ripped the skin on my sides and bled from these stretch marks that were created almost overnight. So a lot happened to me. But what really, the main thing that I took from it, and why I'm so grateful for that experience, is because this is my first experience of ever suffering. I'd never actually suffered before, not in any significant way. A few sprained ankles skateboarding, no big deal. And this experience of suffering made me realize that this is one of the worst things that any of us can ever go through. You know, I'd never been through anything like this before. All you can think about when you are suffering is that you want to come out of that. And I was so lucky because I met somebody, a personal trainer, who wanted to help me out of that. And just for almost no money, he started training me, getting me fit, getting me strong, getting me healthy. And he helped me lose that 60 pounds. But more than that, he'd helped me out of my suffering. And what an amazing thing he'd done for me. I was so inspired by this man. I felt so much better, even more grateful because I really understood where I'd come from. If suffering is one of the worst things we can go through, then to come out of your suffering is one of the best things you can go through. And also, if you can help someone out of their suffering, then that's one of the best ways you can contribute and spend time in your life. What a great thing to be able to do. So inspiring this man was for me. I decided to become a personal trainer as well. And for the next 8 years, very, very passionately helping people get fit, get strong, get healthy, lose the weight, get off the medications, learn how to eat, learn how to think positive, learn how to do all the things that I knew about that I'd been studying to help live a healthier life. I loved my job so much. And for 8 years I did that. I ended up working on a cruise ship, traveling around the world, giving lectures on health, doing the classes, all that kind of stuff. And I know a lot of Americans, they love the cruise ships. I met a lot on there. I met a lot of real interesting people on there, you know what I'm saying? It draws all kinds. And, you know, each week I'm meeting like 1,000 new people. One day I met an especially fascinating man, an old Indian man. Come into the gym, he started talking about all these things I'd never even thought about before. He started talking about the universe, he started talking about nature, he started talking about connections he saw, he started talking about life. And this guy looked like the Buddha. He had this big belly, had this big happy, you know, they bob their head, this big happy smile. And he sounded like the Buddha, the way he was talking, man, he sounded like he'd been blazing up, you know what I'm saying? I was like, what are you talking about? Where do you get that stuff from, man? You shouldn't be able to get that on these ships. Interesting man. We talked every day, 2 weeks every day. He said, come back tomorrow, let's talk more, come back tomorrow, keep telling me what you know. We talk about 2 hours a day. On the last day of his cruise, the last day, man, I was so close to getting away. On the last day, he said something to me that changed my life forever. He planted one seed in my mind. He said to me, eating animals is bad karma. And I said, oh shit. Really? Well, I'm in trouble, man, because I eat animals, breakfast, lunch and dinner every single day, and I have done every single day of my life. So I hope you're wrong. Now, I didn't necessarily believe in karma, still don't necessarily believe in karma. But this is such a wise man who'd built a lot of credibility with me over the 2 weeks. And he had made it about me. I didn't care about the animals, trust me. I didn't care at all. I didn't even like dogs. I thought animals weren't worth caring about because I didn't even think they could care about their own life. So why would I care about their life if they can't even care about their life? Made no sense to me. But he'd made it about me. He'd said that my karma would be bad. And I didn't want that. I was trying to live the best life possible. I wanted to be happy all the time if that was possible. So when he said that there may be some way I can do something to improve my happiness, that's how I heard it, I thought, all right, worth a try, maybe. But someone else had planted a seed in my mind years prior, a personal trainer, a man who I looked up to in the health industry. He said to me, there's no such thing as a healthy vegetarian. And I said, good, I don't want to be one, ever. It was never gonna happen for me. I could never imagine even one meal without meat, let alone a life. If I didn't have meat on my plate, it wasn't a meal. This is my pre-meal snack. I couldn't even have one meal without it. So I said this to this man, you know, that thing that I'd never looked into, I just took it and said, perfect, that aligns with me. I never want to be vegetarian, so I said there's no such thing as a healthy vegetarian. This man said, I've been vegetarian for 20 years. I said, man, you should be dead. Are you serious? I honestly thought that wasn't possible. And it made me think, you know, maybe I should try it out, you know, just to cross it off the list, just so I can try it and nearly die and say, that wasn't for me, I knew it. So I thought, all right, I told this man, I'm going to try it for 7 days, just to see how I feel. 3 days in, I was expecting not to get out of bed in the morning. I was expecting that I haven't had protein in days, like emaciated, you know? 3 days in though, I was feeling so good. I was feeling healthy, I was feeling strong, I was feeling energetic, I was feeling happy, I was feeling better after my meals. I felt like I was feeling better after a short night's sleep, which was unusual for me at the time. I felt good, obviously good, which shocked me. And it might sound strange that, oh, it was only 3 days, you know, relax, how would you know? But if you knew how I was eating on this cruise ship, I'm sure there's quite a few people here that have been on a cruise ship, you know what the food's like. It's a buffet every single meal. You try living on a cruise ship. Oh man, it's temptation every single day. And I was stacking my plate up full of meat. That's all I was eating. There was no room for vegetables in here. I wouldn't waste the space. I was getting the most of it, making the most of it. That's how I saw it. No wonder after doing that for about 8 months, that after just 3 days of not doing it, I noticeably felt better. But at the time it shocked me, but it intrigued me. So I started looking into it. Maybe this is something I can continue. Can I sustain this feeling? Can I help my family and friends feel this good and my clients? I'm going to look into this. So I do. I start researching. And it didn't take long at all before I realized not only can you be healthy without consuming any animal products, but you are likely to be far healthier and reduce your chances of the biggest killer, heart disease, as well as cancers and diabetes and obesity, osteoporosis, so many of the most prevalent diseases that we are currently faced with in this world. Not only that, but you are likely to live a longer life, extend your life expectancy, have less nutrient deficiencies. And all of these things I kept learning, and I thought, how did I not know this? I've been a personal trainer for 8 years. How did I not stumble across this before? And thinking about it now, you know, it took me a while, but thinking about it now, I realized information had trickled in. It had trickled in, but I was like a brick wall to it. You know, I remember one time I saw this video. There was these 2 pork chops in a pan, and someone had poured Coca-Cola on it. And it fizzed, and then these like maggots or tapeworms or some sort of parasite just crawled out of the flesh. And I went, yuck. But that's not my meat. That doesn't happen to my meat. I don't know where this guy's buying his meat, man. That's not where I buy my meat. My meat doesn't do that. Trickling in of information, I was just always like, nah. Why even pay attention? I'm never gonna stop eating meat. But because I felt good and because of what I'd learned, I thought, you know, I'm going to stick with this. So many health benefits, I'd be a fool not to stick with this. Plus the food was way better than I was expecting. I thought I'd just be eating lettuce and tofu. I'm having curries, I'm having these delicious sandwiches with tofu. I realized I like tofu, which I never thought I did. I'm eating all these amazing things. I thought, all right, I can do this. So I started telling everybody, just like every vegetarian does. You know what they're like. Oh man, you gotta go vegetarian. I see what you're eating there, that's bad. You gotta go vegetarian. Everybody needs to go vegetarian, actually. And everyone's like, what? Man, I saw you eating steak for breakfast like 3 days ago. What are you talking about? I was like, nah. Just learned all this stuff, man. You gotta go vegetarian. I did a lot of research into it. I was so excited by the prospect of being able to help my clients more, to be able to help my family and my friends more, and myself. I was so excited by this. I felt like I'd stumbled across this massive secret, which kind of I had. And because I'd spent so much time researching, I couldn't help but notice that it kept popping up, other people's reasons for being vegetarian. So many people aren't vegetarian for their health. So many people are vegetarian for the animals. And I didn't get that at all. I was like, do the animals? Cry me a river, mate. Why would you change your life for the animals? They don't matter at all. Who are these people? Like, I just didn't get it at all. I thought, why overly emotional people that don't understand what they're doing? But so many people saying it. So many people recommending me, you got to watch some documentaries, man. Watch Earthlings. And I was like, Earthlings? That sounds pretty chill. Pretty chill. Oh man. Okay, so if you haven't seen Earthlings, it's not chill at all. Earthlings is a real life horror movie. It shows all the ways that humans exploit and abuse and kill animals for food, for clothing, for entertainment, and for medical testing. You hear them scream. You see the terror in their eyes. You see the fear. You see the blood. You see the killing. You see babies being taken from their mothers. You see them getting their teeth cut out, their tails cut off, castrated without pain relief. You see them locked in these small cages, so small that they're unable to turn around, so small that when they fall down, because their babies are around, they often will squash their babies to death. You see all types of things that you wish you'd never seen before, all types of things that you never realised were happening before. But me, I'd seen a little something before. My brother had showed me a documentary. He said, watch this man, you will never eat meat again. This is about a year or two prior. And I watched it. And I said, mate, if you want to feel guilty about that, that's up to you. I am not going to feel guilty about being a human who needs to eat meat to survive. If you want to, go ahead, but that makes no sense to me. But watching Earthlings and seeing their suffering with a new perspective, knowing that it is completely unnecessary for our health, it led me to the question, if we don't need to kill and eat animals to survive and thrive, then what are we doing this to them for? And I thought, there must be a good reason. Surely there's a good reason, because almost everybody loves animals. And if you don't love animals, like I didn't, you're at least against animal cruelty. 99% of people would say that they're against animal cruelty. So I thought there must be a good reason for this. And I looked for one. I wanted to find one. And I kept looking. And I found that the best justifications we've got for the abuse and the killing of animals for food and for the other things I mentioned is taste, habit, tradition, and convenience. And I thought about those reasons a lot, and I realized not even close does a fleeting taste sensation or a habit or something being convenient or traditional justify abusing and murdering sentient beings, innocent, vulnerable beings. And I use that term murder because what is the difference? Slaughter, murder. The difference is that slaughter doesn't sound as bad. We're so used to hearing it. But what is murder? It is taking the life of somebody who wants to live against their will. That is exactly what we do to non-human animals. And I say non-human animals because humans are animals too. We just like to pretend we're something else. But the fact is that we're just one species of millions who have decided that we are the most important. In fact, we're so much more important than them that we can kill them just because we like how their body tastes. I saw this documentary, and like I said, I wasn't an animal lover, but I do not despise animals. I do not hate them. I do not want them to suffer and die because of me if they don't have to. I know oppression when I see it. I know suffering when I see it. And they are not the kind of things that I want to contribute to as somebody who strives to be a peaceful, loving, respectful, compassionate person. I like to help the underdog. I like to help people out of their suffering, not be the cause of it. So I had a whole new reason to stay vegetarian. I stayed vegetarian for the animals. I started telling people even more, differently though. I said, man, remember I was telling you all those health benefits about being vegetarian? Everyone's like, yeah, we all remember. I said, right, they're still there. In fact, there's even more. But do you know what we do to animals before they become that neatly wrapped package in the supermarket shelf? Have you ever thought about it? Nah, man, I don't want to know, actually. Don't spoil my dinner. And I thought, well, you are an animal lover, way more than me. You've always said how much you hate animal cruelty. How do you not want to know about this? You know, I even am so glad I know about this. How do you not want to know? And it took me a while to realize what kind of conditioning we're up against here. People have been taught from the day they were old enough to think that it is natural and normal and necessary to kill and eat animals. People have been taught that some animals matter. Dogs matter, dolphins matter, whales and cats matter. But what about pigs, cows, chickens and fish? They don't matter at all. Kill them, slit their throats, put them in gas chambers and put them on your sandwich. We've been taught that. We've been taught that we need protein from meat. We've been taught that we need dairy from calcium. Well, we need calcium from dairy. We have been taught that there is such thing as a humanely slaughtered animal product. So what we're led to believe is that animals happily skip into a slaughterhouse, something humane happens, and then they come out chopped up into little pieces. And because there's that happy sticker on the front of the packet of what we're buying, we go along with it. Cool, free range, humanely slaughtered, good. I'm doing good for animals by buying this. We've been taught so many lies. This Indian man who sent me down that rabbit hole, he planted that one seed. The ripple effect is a powerful thing. He wasn't done with me yet. I said, mate, how do you know so many interesting things? He said, meditation. I was like, come on, man, meditation. What books have you read? What courses have you done? What documentaries have you watched? He said, I learned it through meditation. I've read some books and everything, but when you meditate, you open a space for new information to come in. I didn't really buy it, but I thought, he's a wise person. He's built some credibility. Maybe I'll try this meditation thing. Not just 10 minutes in the morning like a normal person probably would start doing, no. So I'm a little bit extreme sometimes, as you'll learn through more stories. I thought, all right, meditation. I'm going all in. I book in for a 10-day silent meditation where you meditate 10 hours a day for 10 days. Yes, what was I thinking? That's what I'm thinking, I don't know. I got problems. So I book in. I finish my contract on the cruise ship, I get home to Sydney, Australia. People are calling me up. They're like, man, are you all right? I go, what do you mean? They're like, someone told me you went vegetarian. I'm like, yeah, I'm sweet. you're going to be vegetarian soon too, man. I'm going to show you this documentary. You're days away. I get to this meditation, meditating five days in, 10 hours a day, hating it, so much pain. And the meditation technique is all about observing your physical sensations while remaining equanimous, which means accepting of the good, accepting of the bad, you're just steady. I'm trying to do it, and then all of a sudden, this strong sensation comes over my body. And I didn't know what was going on. So it's just like this really strong kind of vibration, and I don't know, it was weird, hard to explain. And it was just happening for about 20 seconds, and I'm just trying to chill, and then eventually it passed away, and I was thinking, what the hell was that? And I thought about it, and I thought, you know what that kind of feels like it was? It was like it was my body trying to get me to speak, because I hadn't spoken in 5 days. I hope that's what it was, because I based a whole year of my life on this moment. Could be wrong, but let's just hope I was right. I started thinking, well, you haven't spoken in 5 days, that's pretty sweet. How long could you do this for? Imagine not speaking for another month. Oh man, that would be pretty hard. And then for some reason, I thought, imagine not speaking for a whole year. Oh, that would be kind of fun. And I thought, you know, maybe I could do that. That's kind of up my alley. Maybe I could take a year of silence, you know, and I don't know, what could I do with that? I thought I have to do something because, you know, I've just got off this cruise ship and told everyone I'm vegetarian and everyone's worried about me. I thought, I can't get back from this meditation and be like, guess what? One more small thing. I decided I'm not going to speak for a whole year. People are going to be like, is he on drugs? What's with this guy, man? Something's happening. So I thought, I need some sort of reason. What could I do it for? Maybe I could do it to raise awareness for something I care about. What do I care about? Well, I'm very passionate about human health and helping others out of their suffering. But my newfound passion for helping animals and speaking up for them was so strong. I'd been vegetarian for 3 months, but I felt it deeply. I felt like there was this huge injustice happening. And it was everywhere. Everyone was contributing to it. And literally, the body parts of the victims were on my friends and family's plates, and they paid for them to be there, and then they chopped them up and put them into their body and swallow this product of torture and violence and death. It was pretty serious. So I thought, maybe I could do it to raise awareness for animals. They're voiceless, I'll be voiceless. Perfect. But is this a big enough cause? I don't know. I keep telling people they don't seem to care. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just going too deep thinking about this, you know? I was just trying to figure it out myself. I thought I'll keep looking into it. So I do. I go back to health, where I started. I realize right now we have an epidemic of illness and disease. Our friends and family are quite likely to die from heart disease, maybe decades before their time. We have an epidemic of illness and disease. We could have widespread health and longevity. I don't want everyone having 5 medications and then 10 medications and then 15 medications, which is what I saw on those cruise ships. That's what I saw on those cruise ships. People coming and telling me they're on 17 medications. I thought, what? Surely there was a better way. And is it any coincidence that on your advertisements on TV here, you have an advertisement for a big burger full of animal products, and then the next advertisement, need to lower your cholesterol? Here, take some statins. You know? I thought this is big for human health. What else is going on? Is there anything else to this? Never had I thought about it before. The environment, this planet, our only home. I never cared about it at all. Why would I? The government's got it covered. That's what I thought. They're sweet. They got it, why am I going to worry about it? Truly right now, we are faced with some serious environmental disasters. We are using resources as if they are infinite. We are destroying this planet as if we have a second one to go to. We are taking all the fish out of the oceans. In fact, they estimate that by the year 2048, there will be no fish left in the ocean. We are destroying the forests. The leading cause of deforestation is animal agriculture. It is also a leading cause of species extinction, habitat loss, ocean dead zones, greenhouse gas emissions. In fact, there are more greenhouse gas emissions produced by the methane that comes out of cows than every single transportation device on this planet. None of that has to be happening. Animal agriculture is completely unnecessary. And so we could put a halt and start to reverse some of the most destructive forces that our environment is faced with today. And this matters because I don't think anybody here wants to go to war over water and resources like that, but that is the direction that we will be going in. These things are not infinite. This world needs to heal. Another important topic, but what I couldn't help but keep coming back to is the animals. 56 billion land animals, over 3 trillion sea animals that feel pain and suffer just like we do. They have their own friends and their own families. They have their own communities. They communicate with each other. They have their own eyes that see, their own ears that hear. They have their own heart that beats, their own brain that thinks in their own way. They have blood, they have bones, they have flesh. They have everything in common with us that matters. And the things that don't matter are totally meaningless. What species are they a part of? What are they covered on the outside? Feathers? Nah, they don't matter. Wings? They don't matter. Fur? Scales? Who cares? How many times have we discriminated based on how we look on the outside? How many times have we got that wrong? And we're still doing it today. And the result of this discrimination is trillions of innocent beings being murdered every single year for foods and products that not only we don't need, but that we would do far better off without. Isn't it ironic that when we stop torturing and killing them, we stop killing ourselves, we stop destroying this planet? Isn't it? Isn't that a coincidence? I realise this is over 3 trillion reasons to take this vow of silence for the animals. But I also realised that I was not prepared to do that yet. Because everybody, since I went vegetarian, is asking me all these questions that I did not know the answer to. Where do you get protein, man? I was like, I don't know. I think I read it that it's in lentils. I think there's protein in lentils. People are like, what if we don't eat the animals? Won't they kill and eat us? And I was like, wait, chickens? I don't know. What about iron? What about free range? What about humanely slaughtered? What about all these things? I was like, mate, I don't know. I just came to a conclusion where I feel like this is wrong. But I realized if I want to be credible, I need to answer these questions. And what I realized soon later is that there is an answer to every single one of these questions, which I was happy to learn that these conversations got easier and easier because I had logic and the truth on my side. What I also learned through more research is that I was not there yet. I thought I was doing my thing for the animals, but actually I was still part of the problem. See, I'd stopped eating meat, which is a good start, but what I'd actually done is replace the meat I was eating for extra eggs and extra dairy. And what took me a while to realize is that the egg and the dairy industry are at least as cruel as the meat industry. It's a little bit harder to realize because when you see a piece of meat that's been cut off somebody's body, that's obviously harmed and killed them. But when you see a carton of milk, cow's milk, this white liquid, this sticker of this silhouette cow looking fairly happy, and you've been told your whole life that cows just give milk, and you see an egg and there's no blood on it, and you think eggs just come out of chickens anyway, so why not eat them? It's a little harder to make the connection that these industries are at least as cruel. But that's what I was starting to learn. And I realized, well, if eggs and dairy are just as cruel as meat, how does it make sense to just stop eating meat? And I took it a step further and I said, in fact, leather, wool, silk, they all come from the exploitation and the killing of these animals as well. Killing is still involved. Products that have been tested on and contain animals. And what about the places that exploit animals for entertainment and for work? Am I against animal cruelty or just some types of animal cruelty? Am I against cruelty to some animals or all animals? Didn't make sense to me to just pick and choose. So I realized all of a sudden, hang on a minute, what's happening here? Oh my God. I think I have to go vegan, which scared the hell out of me. I thought, how did this happen to me? Just the other day I didn't even care about animals. Now I'm becoming one of them extremist vegans. Maybe I'm being brainwashed, I don't know. I didn't know much about vegans. I always thought it was this unnecessary choice. Why go vegan when you can just go vegetarian? Relax, vegans. But it's because all animal products necessitate that we are going to use an animal. And that is really the problem. The use of animals as if they are ours. The use of animals as if they were put here for us to use. The use of animals is wrong. They are not our property and they are not ours to do with what we will, and when they stop being profitable for us, we can just kill them and get some new ones. They have their own lives to live and their own value of their life. And we don't get to determine what that is, just because we've decided that we are the valuable, most important, superior species. We share this planet with them. I realize it's not just about stopping eating meat. It's about stopping my contribution to animal use. It's about not eating them, wearing them, using products that have been tested on them or contain them, or going to places that use them for work or for entertainment. And that's what a vegan is. Veganism is the golden rule in action. It's about treating others the way that you would want to be treated. And animals count as others. And that's all it is. It's about widening your circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures, not just other humans and not just certain animals like dogs, dolphins and whales. It's about extending that circle of compassion to all. And that's why it feels so good, because when you do that, you become more compassionate. You have more compassion for more out there, and that is a very beautiful thing to do. But all I knew about vegans was this. One time my friend said to me, guess what? Grant has gone vegan, one of our friends. I was like, what does that mean, man? He goes, I don't know. He doesn't sit on leather couches anymore. And I was like, why? And we didn't know. Veganism is about doing the least amount of harm to animals as practically possible. So you just don't eat them, wear them, use those products, or go to those places. It is easy. So incredibly easy. And thinking about why I thought it was extreme, I thought, why is it extreme to not want to harm animals? Since when did that become the extreme option? Isn't it more extreme to say you love animals and you're against animal cruelty while you pay somebody else to mutilate and torture and murder an animal for foods and products you don't even need? Isn't that very extreme? And that's what I came to the conclusion of. The way I was living my life is extreme. extremely cruel, extremely violent, and most of all, extremely unnecessary. So I realized I needed to be vegan. Oh man. But I didn't go vegan straight away. That was my goal. I didn't know how to go vegan. I didn't realize there were so many websites online where you can just type in howdoigovegan.com. There's so many of them. I didn't realize that if you've got a favorite recipe, you can just put the word vegan in front of it and there's a vegan version of that recipe. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, to the point where most of my first meals were a smoothie with a chopped up block of raw tempeh just floating in there. Because I was so scared of not getting enough protein. Don't try that. Learn from my mistakes. True story. I started realizing this is actually not hard at all. In fact, this is easy. If you want burritos, there's vegan ones. If you like pizza, there's vegan pizza. There's vegan pasta, there's vegan sandwiches, there's vegan curries, there's vegan stir fries. There's literally a vegan version of every single one of your favorite meals. No harder to make, just slightly different. Maybe you would have had a curry made from cow's milk with some cow's milk in there. You put in the coconut milk instead. It can be literally that easy. And I started really enjoying it. Not only did I start veganizing all my favorite meals, but I started realizing, even in my local supermarket, we've got vegan meat, we've got vegan sausages, we've got vegan cheese, we've got vegan ice cream, vegan chocolate, we've got vegan everything. But even if you don't have that, there is literally millions of vegan recipes at just a few clicks away that you can make from plant foods, the foods that we're supposed to eat. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, seeds, and legumes. And what you can make from those foods are burgers and pastas and all the things I just mentioned. So good. So much easier than I was expecting. And I actually cut a few foods out, but then added so many more new ones and actually started enjoying food more than ever before, which was funny. That whole year, I started planning that vow of silence. What am I going to do? I'm going to travel around Australia. I'm going to be voiceless. I'm going to write a blog. And then hopefully people are interested by the action I'm taking. They want to see what it's like to do a vow of silence. Can he make it? Will he be able to do it? And this is what I'm doing. This is what I write about. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm at. This is what it's like to be voiceless. Little sneaky vegan message in there somewhere. That was what the plan was. And then as the clock struck midnight on January 1st for 2014, that's what I did. I went voiceless, which was probably the most anticlimactic moment in my life. Because you know when you get real excited about something for a whole year, and then it happens, and you want to be like, yeah! I was like, it kind of really took the excitement out. Okay, now, here's two options for everybody here. Because I don't know what this crowd's made up of, I've got two things I can go with here. One is I can tell you about that journey going voiceless, how I started learning more and more about animals and the connections I made, the things I did as I traveled around Australia, and some of the experiences that happened to me. I can tell you about that story, or I can tell you about being a vegan activist, how to spread this message, how to advocate in a way that I think is the most effective, what we can say, how we do it, how we stay positive, and tell you some of my experiences about, in my opinion, the best ways we can do this and the space there is for it in this movement. So put your hand up if you want to hear the first thing. Yes! Bloody excellent. Okay, so this is my people right here. All right. Okay. Cool. Not one person. You don't want to hear about my... It was exciting. Jeez. Might as well have not done it then. All right. So, really good. Because, look, it's something for everybody here. I do know that there are people here that aren't already vegan. First of all, let me say thank you so much for being here tonight. Please give them a round of applause. It takes some courage and bravery to come to a place where people have an alternate opinion than you do, and you're the odd one out. That's how we feel every day. But, you know, it can still take courage. And I appreciate you being here. And if you haven't already, from what I've said, felt some sort of compelling reason for you to at least start moving in that direction, let me just say one more thing about it. Veganism is not some mundane diet choice. We don't just go vegan because we like the food or something like that. Veganism is the difference between torture and peace, between enslavement and freedom, between death and life. If you are against murder, if you are against enslaving innocent beings, if you're against confining them against their will, if you are against any of that type of oppression, then by your own belief, you should be vegan. Because anything less than vegan goes against what is natural in almost everybody's heart. The only thing you need to agree with to be vegan is that causing unnecessary harm to animals is wrong. That's the only thing you need to agree with. You don't need to love tofu. You don't need to be an animal lover. You don't need to be a particular religion. You don't need anything else but to agree that causing unnecessary harm to animals is wrong. If you agree with that statement, then by your own belief, you should become vegan. It's not because I'm telling you you should be against this. We already are. And that's what I want you to realize. You already agree with veganism. All that is left is to align your actions with your values. And when you do that, you ask any vegan. I've spoken to thousands of vegans now. When you do that, you ask any vegan, what's one of the best things you've ever done in your life? All of them will tell you, going vegan. Why do you think that is? Because the food's so good? It is good, but that's not why. It's because when you align with your core values, you feel so much better. It feels like coming home. You feel more of the person that you always should have been. It feels right, and you feel good waking up every day knowing that you are doing better than you were the day before. It's a very good feeling. It feels right, and it is right, because we don't look at an animal and think, yum. We look at an animal and think, oh, so cute. That's what we do. We don't watch footage of a slaughterhouse and get hungry and salivate. We watch footage of animals being slaughtered and feel disgusted, and we can't even look at it. That's nature trying to tell you something. We try to eat raw meat and it's disgusting and makes us sick. So we cook it and we season it with plants. Nature's trying to tell you something. And your belief is also, this is one of the most important beliefs that you can have. Non-violence to the innocent. Standing up for those who don't have the ability to stand up for themselves. That's an important value to uphold. And that's why veganism is important for all of us. Okay, that's that. Now, what I want to talk about is how to spread this message. Because going vegan is great. That's step one. Going vegan is like this. There's a dog here. And I'm punching the dog in the face with my friend. We're both smacking this dog as hard as we can in the face. And then halfway through, I realize, what am I doing? This is actually so cruel and wrong. I'm going to stop. And you step back from the dog and you stop hitting that dog in the face. That's going vegan. Great start. But your friend is still punching the dog in the face. Do you just stand there and watch? Or do you try to stop your friend from hurting that defenseless being? That is what being a vegan activist is all about. Stopping hurting them is great, but also we should be helping them because nobody else can. Nobody else is going to promote the message that these animals need. Vegetarians will not promote a vegan message. People who buy free-range eggs will not promote a vegan message. People who buy humanely slaughtered animals will not promote a vegan message. The only people that will are vegans. And why is that important? Because the only thing that will abolish animal exploitation is the vegan message. And that's what they deserve. Nothing less is good enough. We should abolish the use of animals because they're not here for us. So that's what the vegan message is. No one else is going to spread it. Do you realize how important you are to them? Do you realize the responsibility you have and what you can do for them? You can be like a real life hero. You can truly save their lives. You can end their suffering. We all can. That is the power of just a little bit of spreading this message. One person said to me, eating animals is bad karma. Since then, I've got numerous videos that have been viewed by millions of people. One of my speeches has 11 million views since January. He never thought that was going to happen. I never thought that was going to happen. You never know who you are going to influence. You might only influence one person, and they might influence 50 million people. You never know. But the point is, if you don't do anything, you are guaranteed not to help anyone. The least we should do is go vegan. But really, the least we should do is spread the vegan message. Now, don't be afraid about that. Don't think, oh my God, I have to be one of those activists that covers myself in blood, runs down the street, meat is murder. You don't have to do that. You can do that if you want. I'll join you. You don't have to do that. Now, what I'm going to talk about tonight is what I think is the most effective way to spread this message. There's many ways that are effective. There's many different paths up this mountain. And you can choose whatever one suits you. But what I'm going to talk about is what I've seen to be the most effective by far, and also what seems to be the least occupied space and form of advocacy, I would say, in this vegan movement. There's maybe not the least, but there's a lot of room for more of it, in my opinion. So I just want to be clear that I am not bagging anyone else's style or form of advocacy. I respect everyone standing up for animals. There are very few people out there that understand this and that actually go out there and do something about it. I am all for most of it. But what I'm going to talk about is just through my experience of what I've seen to be the most effective. That speech with 11 million views, that was shared by the largest animal rights page on the internet. And the owner of that page said that that speech has influenced more people to go vegan than any other video they've ever shared. So there's something to what I'm going to tell you about, and I see it every single day. And I've tried other ways, many other ways, and they haven't been as effective. Let's start with education. The first thing we need to do is get educated. We need to learn the answers to these questions. When someone comes up to you and says, where do you get protein? And you're like, I don't know, man, just stop eating animals. They're going to be like, well, if you don't even know where I'm going to get protein, I'm not going to do it. You need to have credible answers. You need to be someone who can answer these questions with authority and give people the answers. Because what people have, this is how I see it. They got a long list of objections, and those objections, every single one of them is like a concrete wall. And each concrete wall is a barrier between them and the truth. A barrier between them and veganism. There's so many lies that people believe. There's so many of these concrete walls. And you're not going to be able to just crumble every single one of them in one conversation. But you can start putting some serious cracks in with the sledgehammer of truth. And eventually they will crumble down. So what I'm talking about is this. There are about 100 objections, excuses, lies that people believe. I'd recommend trying to learn all of them. There's a website called animalrights.com, animal-rights.com. There's an FAQ questionnaire thing there. You study that, you are going to be able to be a far more effective activist. When these questions come to you, you're not going to get frustrated because you don't really know a convincing answer. You're going to be effective in getting through these concrete walls. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect. There's so much that I do not know about this. In fact, I'd say I really only know most of the basics. But that is really all you need, because the truth is such a powerful thing. So what do? We learn the most common questions. There's about 5 to 10 that you'll get asked regularly. For example, where do you get protein? Now you could say, oh my God, man, are you kidding me? Not protein again? It's like the 7th time today. You could do that. But my advice would be to answer every question like it's the first time you've been asked. And remember that you were there once too. Be that vegan you wish you met before you were vegan. So instead of doing that, you can just be like, great question, man. That was the first question I had too. Oh, okay, well, all right. Where do you get protein? Protein is found abundantly in all plant foods. It's in everything. There are some foods that are high in protein, but you don't even have to worry about what they are. Because if you are getting enough calories in your day, by default, you're going to get enough protein. So all you need to make sure is you're getting enough calories. And it's not just protein, man. But in fact, there are less nutrient deficiencies, the studies say, in a vegan diet compared to a standard diet. So really what you should be worrying about is what you're not getting right now on the diet you're currently eating. Because a vegan diet, you have to worry about things like that even less. And just to take it another step, with the protein thing, you maybe want to be an athlete or you already are one. The world record holding strongman is a vegan. Mr. Universe of a few years ago is a vegan. The world record holding arm wrestler, the world champion arm wrestler, the world record holding ultra marathoner, they're all vegan. They're not worried about where to get their protein. They get in plenty, obviously. So are gorillas, so are elephants, so are rhinos, so are hippos. So don't worry about it. What you've done there is put a lot of cracks in a lot of different walls. They just said, where do you get protein? You could have just said lentils and tofu, and that would have been right. But what you did is you answered protein. Big crack in the wall. You also answered, what about other nutrients? Before they even start, calcium, iron, boom. You put a crack in that wall before they even ask. What about athletes? Boom, crack. What was the other thing I said? I can't even remember. Some other crack in some other wall. You answered a lot. Does it mean any of them are going to crumble all the way down? No, but they might go research a little more themselves. They might have another conversation with someone, and eventually that truth will be obvious, blatantly obvious. The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. You set it free, it defends itself. So you answer a lot in one go. When someone says to you, what about free range? I buy free range eggs. There's nothing wrong with that. You can say, that is so good that you care about animals enough that you want to do better for them. Obviously that's why you buy free range, yeah? Okay, well, you surely would want to know then that buying free range means next to nothing for animals. We take them out of one small cage, we put them in one gigantic cage with 40,000 other chickens, for example, and that creates all different types of cruelties. The industry used the word free range to make people like us, good people like us, feel better about our choices to pay for something that is very, very bad. They're duping us, mate. All these free-range, organic, grass-fed animals, even if they did have that great life that they claim to have, they all end up at the slaughterhouse. They all end up getting their throats slit or pushed into a gas chamber. And there's no good way to do the wrong thing. A lesser of two evils is still evil. Think of it this way. If I murder my brother but he doesn't feel it or see it coming, even though I let him free range his whole life, can I say to the judge, relax, humane murder? Or is he going to be like, what the hell are you talking about, man? there is no humane murder. You've robbed this individual of his greatest gift, his most precious gift, his life. Doesn't matter how you murdered him. You murdered him. And that is why in the court of law, murder, no matter how it's done, is one of the most punished offences. And if I pay someone else to murder for me, we go down equally for that murder. So free range and humane mean nothing for these individuals. You put a lot of cracks and a lot of walls here. First of all, you talked about free range. That's not the answer. Then you've talked about humanely slaughtering animals and saying that obviously doesn't make sense either. Two big excuses that people have. They're genuine, because people really have been duped to believe that they're doing a good thing by buying RSPCA approved chicken. It's very confusing when an animal group will say buy these murdered chickens instead. Of course people are confused. And you've also dealt with, well, I don't kill them, so what? I didn't kill them, it wasn't my fault. You've also dealt with that too. You've crossed off a lot of objections. Every single objection that you cross off is them taking a step closer. When they run out of objections, the only thing that makes sense, the only thing left is to do it. They got nothing left. They're like, damn, there's so many good reasons to do this I didn't know about before. Your job is not to force someone to go vegan in a conversation. You can't. You cannot do that. There's no way to do it. Your job is to put cracks in those walls. Find out what the walls are. Sometimes people say, I've told them everything and they haven't gone vegan. There's something that they're clinging on to. Maybe they think it's hard. Maybe they think it's not delicious. Maybe they think it's not healthy. Maybe they think they can't afford it. There's something they're clinging on to. And the reason why I believe that is because going vegan is the logical choice for every single reason. Health, environment, animals, tastes, everything. So there's something missing there. When somebody says, what about plants, man? We're going to kill something anyway. They're all the same. You could say, are you actually kidding me, mate? Plants? You could say that. Or you could say, whoa, you are really compassionate if you care about plants. That's great. You are next level. I strive to be there one day. You can explain there's no evidence at all that shows that plants feel pain. To feel pain, you need a brain. And plants do not possess a brain. They have no central nervous system. No brain, no pain. So don't worry. But even if plants did feel pain, veganism is only claiming to be the path to least harm, causing the least amount of harm as possible. It's not perfect. It's not 100% harm-free. It's cruelty-free because cruelty is deliberate, but harm can be accidental. And there is some accidental harm even when we harvest our vegan foods. Unavoidable. If it was avoidable, we would. And maybe one day when there's enough energy put into caring about other species, maybe we'll find better ways. I'm sure we will. But even if plants did feel pain, we feed animals 6 to 12 times more food than what we can take from them. So we give them all this food. We take back this tiny little bit to satisfy our habit for their flesh. Meanwhile, over 20,000 children die every single day from starvation and malnutrition, often in the places that we are importing this grain to feed and fatten up these factory farmed animals. If we just redistributed a portion of that food, we could end world hunger time and time again. There are other factors involved, but it is definitely not due to a lack of food. So, if you care about plant casualties, the best thing for you to do is still to go vegan. What you've done there, plants don't feel pain. Scratch it off your list, man. They don't. Most people don't think they do anyway. It's just an excuse. But that gives you a time to start having the conversation at least. Plants don't feel pain. We waste a huge amount of resources fattening up these animals. Meanwhile, there's children starving to death every single day. Right? So you're getting through it. That's how we get through it. People will get to a point where they got nothing left. And it just makes sense. It just makes sense. I had a lot of excuses at first as well. There's an answer to every single one of them. But how do we get this message out there? In what way do we talk about this? Do we blame and shame people for being murderers? Do we make people feel like bad people because of what they're doing? We could. And for some people, they need a backhand across the face. Vegan backhand. But I have tried that. Literally. And it was very hard for me to be effective in that way. I generated a lot of hostility to people. I got angry, it burned me out more regularly. I really didn't have very good results. Because what happens when you attack somebody? They put their defenses up. And when they put their defenses up, that is another barrier between you and them. That's another barrier. They feel attacked, they go like this, they stop listening. When you come from a place of peace and love and compassion, you're working with the strongest, most magnetizing forces that we've got. This isn't just my opinion. Another great man said a similar thing. He said, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he said, love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. Now personally, I do not see people who are still stuck in the matrix as enemies. People who are still unknowingly or just continuously eating animal products and supporting this mass murder of these innocent beings. I don't see them as my enemies. They're not bad people. Most of them are not bad people. They're our friends and our family. The system that has taught them that this is natural and normal and necessary is the enemy. These lies that people have been force-fed is the enemy. And the way I see these people is that they are victims of this conditioning, just like I was. They have had their compassion robbed from them. And that's a very sad thing to lose. So it's my opinion that the best thing we can do is not to make enemies, but to make friends, to lift each other up, to help each other do better, to be a shining light and a great example. And by you shining bright enough, you can spark that light in others. Because love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. Think of it this way. You tell me right now, what do people think of vegans? Tell me.
Preachy.
Preachy. Pardon? Entitled, okay, yep. Arrogant, militant, yep. Cult-like, judgmental, yep. Wimpy, antisocial, yep. Protein deficient, what was that? Huh? Malnourished, pardon? Better than everybody else, yeah. What else? Angry, aggressive, annoying, judgmental, preachy, better than everyone else, protein deficient, wimpy, sickly. Righteous. Angry. Privileged. Weird. It's not a very good image we've got. Our PR guy needs to be fired. That is what people think of vegans. Angry, aggressive, annoying, judgmental, and preachy. Think about this. There's a party happening right here, full of angry, aggressive, annoying, preachy, judgmental people. There's a party happening here, full of peaceful, loving, respectful, compassionate, welcoming, understanding, patient people. Where do you want to go? None of you are going there, don't lie to me. Some of you vegans like, I'm going with the angry people, I'm pissed. You got every right to be angry. You got every right to be angry. There is a huge injustice happening right now. And the victims are in numbers that you cannot even fathom. And it has no soon end in sight. And you tell people about it and they don't seem to care. You have every right to be angry and judgmental when you tell somebody that all these things and they don't change. You can judge them. You have every right to. But is this the most effective way to help animals? That's the question. Is this the most effective way to show what we're talking about and to lead by example? We want a more compassionate world. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. also said one other thing that has really resonated with me. He said, the means we use must be as pure as the ends we seek. Do you want a compassionate world? Do you want a loving world where people respect each other? Model that behavior. Show how it's done. If even you can't show how that's done, how are they going to do it? If people who are asking for that to happen can't even do it themselves, how's it going to happen? They don't know how to do it. Most of us don't even know how to do it. Don't you see that all the time? Why do you think this stereotype exists? There's a lot of anger in the vegan movement. There's a lot of judgmental, aggressive vegans out there. There's a lot that aren't as well. And look, I'm not saying that they're wrong. They have every right to be that. And you can all still do that and be that if you want. If you're getting great results, I'd say continue. But I think you'll get better results when you come over to this party and start inviting people like that. Do you think that maybe a lot of people don't want to go vegan because they think if they go vegan, they'll become one of those angry, aggressive, annoying, judgmental people? I think they do. Do you think that a lot of people don't want to go vegan because they think if they do, they won't be allowed to sit and have Christmas dinner with their family anymore? I think that's a thing. Again, I'm not saying if you want to be one of those people who doesn't want to eat at a table where people are eating animal products, I understand and respect that completely. I completely get it. You're making a stand. I am against this and I will not condone it by sitting here. I understand that completely. Good for you for making that choice. But in my opinion, if you do that, you are out of sight and out of mind. How are you going to plant seeds when you're not even there? If you're there, they can say, what are you having, man? Oh, I'm having this delicious vegan laksa. They're like, can I try something? You're like, nah, are you vegan? I didn't think so. All right, try something. You can be there. Then the conversation comes up. Well, what's wrong with me eating this animal, you know? Oh, well, look, you can answer these questions. You can put them cracks in those walls. If you're not there, none of that's going to happen. You're not going to, even if the conversation doesn't come up, they're still eating their meal like, damn, man, that vegan's making me think about all these things I'm doing right now. They're thinking about it. That helps. That's what needs to happen. Make your own choice, but I'm just sharing my opinion here. If we use this tactic of being positive and encouraging to people, miraculous things can happen. You leave the lines of communication open. So if they decide one day to learn a little more, they're not going to think, oh, I know that vegan, but it's so angry that time when they went off at me, or I just see their Facebook post and they're so filled with hate. Nah, I don't know, forget about it. You know what I mean? So many people, so many vegans go vegan, and then all of a sudden they hate the human race. Understandable. You've just woke up in a nightmare and realised that there's billions of times more cruelty out there than you ever realised. It's understandable to hold a little aggression towards your own species. But people see that and they think, if I go vegan, I'm going to start hating everyone as well. No thanks, that's not the cult for me. This is what people think when they think of vegans. This is not good. We need to change that. The beauty is, when you change that, this is better for you too. You don't have to generate that anger, aggression, hostility towards others. That hurts us. We're the first people affected by that. And it is better for the animals because of all the reasons I've just mentioned, because this is the most powerful force we've got. Sometimes people will test you and push your buttons and say things like, bacon, who cares? And all these kind of things happen all the time. As Gandhi said, if they curse at you, don't curse back. If they hit you, don't hit back. Even if they shoot you, don't shoot back. Keep moving forward. Stay up here. Show how it's done. Don't go down to that level. Let me give you a real life example of this in action. I did a speech in Melbourne a couple of years ago. Halfway through my speech, 2 people walked in, a man and a woman. They sat right at the front and they glared at me with so much anger. And I'm thinking, who the hell are these 2? And then, as soon, like, they didn't laugh at anything that I think is usually pretty funny. Like, what's wrong with these people? They have no sense of humour. And then, when the time came for people who usually clap, they didn't do that either. They just glared at me with their arms folded. I thought, what's going on? Then Q&A started. Man puts his arm up. That's all well and good, James. What about the farmers? I thought, okay, it's a farmer. Good question. Where do you get protein? Simple. What do you do about the farmers? It's a more complicated question. And obviously I'm talking to a farmer. Turned out to be a dairy farmer. So I answered the question as best I could. I said, mate, I want you to know you're not my enemy. I want to look after everybody, the dairy farmers included, but not at the expense of those innocent beings. I want to help you with an exit plan, exiting to a more ethical and sustainable job, because what you're doing right now is neither of those things. And you're actually going to have to change sooner or later anyway, whether it's by choice or by necessity. But we want to help you do that. We want to help you understand how you can do that. This conversation went for about 15, 20 minutes, back and forth with this man. And he was full of anger, red face, kind of stamping his feet. He looked like he was about to storm out 3 or 4 times. If I had responded with aggression, I guarantee he would have left. But we always have 3 options when it comes to communicating with these type of people. Option number 1, you stay up here and they stay down here. Hang on, that's option number 2. Option number 1 is this. You start up here and they start down here and they pull you down with their negativity. And then you start getting into this fight. Do you think that this is going to be a very effective communication? You're going to plant some good seeds? They're going to walk away going, yeah, good point, good point. No. They're going to be more firm in their stance, and you might even push them further away from being vegan. And you'll just be full of anger and rage and won't be able to probably do very effective advocacy for the rest of that day because you're so fired up. Option number 1. Option number 2. You stay up here and they stay down there. And you're being respectful and peaceful and understanding, and they're not. Will something get through? Maybe. Not definitely. It's possible. Probably not. Who knows? Option number 3, just like they can bring you down. You can lift them up. You can raise them up. And this is what happened. I talked to this man 15, 20 minutes, and everyone started getting aggressive. Like, not everyone. There was a few of them vegans in the crowd, you know what I'm saying? The stereotypes. They get a little bit on this guy's case, you know? And it brought the vibe of the room down. The whole vibe. We all kind of came down a little bit. And I did too, and I felt it. And I felt some anxiety. And this is how you come out of this. I'm telling you all, be positive, be respectful, be understanding. You're like, yeah, cool, I will. And then you go to someone says bacon, and you're like, you want to hit him? Strangle you. You know, there's a technique to this. This isn't just, you just do it. This is a practice. This is a technique that you can get better at. This is the technique. This technique, you know, that meditation I was talking about, I've done that 10-day meditation 7 times now. I've done it probably over 1,000 hours of meditation now. This is what I've learned. Often when we get that sort of feeling, maybe you're talking to someone, you get anxious, you get anger. Let's use anger. Anger is a fast emotion to come on. It's there straight away. It's hot, it's fiery. What we often do when we feel something uncomfortable is one of 2 things. 1, we resist it. Oh, I'm angry, and I don't want to be angry. I was peaceful a minute ago. I wish I was still peaceful. I hate it when I get angry. I don't want to be angry. And you've added layers of anger. and layers of negativity in whatever way. Layers of resistance, just more negativity. That's number one. Number two, you run from it. There's something uncomfortable, you run to your phone to distract yourself. You run to food to distract yourself. You run to television, you call a friend, you may take drugs. We distract ourselves from it. We don't want to feel it. Eventually it will pass anyway. It always passes. Just like the biggest craving for a cigarette, if you're a nicotine addict, even if you don't smoke that cigarette, it will pass. Right? Even if you don't go to your phone or resist this sensation, it will pass. So why add negativity to it? The best thing we can do is to fully go into it. To feel that sensation. So let's say it's in your chest. It's hot, it's tense, there's pressure. You describe it, you go in there and you face it. That's part one of it, that's 50%. The other 50% of this technique is to accept it. There's all this tension, there's all this anger. That's okay. That's how I feel. No point resisting it, I'll just make it worse. It doesn't feel very good, but that's how it is. That is the whole technique. Doesn't matter, next time anger comes, you'll just be like perfect Buddha, boom. Takes time. You might roll in it for 10 minutes, but then you might remember, oh, do that thing. Maybe next time it'll be 9 minutes. And instead of it being 9 out of 10 anger, maybe it'll be 8 out of 10 anger. That's how you start to come out of it. So instead of these sensations feeling like a tidal wave over you that you can't control or come out of, you start learning how to surf. And then those tidal waves don't seem that big anymore. And you can surf bigger and bigger waves. That is the technique to come out of it. In this particular situation, when everyone brought the vibe of the room down, I also felt anxious. I forgot for a minute or two, then I remembered what to do. And I went into it and described it and accepted it. And this doesn't always happen, but in this particular situation, it just evaporated. It just disappeared. And I felt even more chill than when I started. I went to this super chill place that I've probably never been before. And it was all chaos kind of brewing in the crowd, and I just said to this man, full of love and compassion, I said, listen, brother, you are not my enemy. I don't hate you. I don't blame you. We are all a victim of this idea that what we do to animals is totally okay. This has probably been in your family for a long time. I'm not here to hate on you, man. What I'm here for is to encourage a better way of living. A way of living that reduces so much suffering, that eliminates so much killing, so much negativity, and it's better for everyone, and better for this planet, and better for the animals. It's so positive. So that's why I'm here, man. I understand you're feeling defensive because I'm questioning and confronting you, but we got different opinions. I hope you'll take something from what I've said tonight. And that's as far as we can go with it. Full of love and compassion. This guy was being aggressive and condescending to me the whole time. I said, I've got to ask some other questions. There's other people in this crowd. I asked the next question. What's the next question? Person looks at me and says, how do you stay so calm, man? And I was like, exactly, that's a good question, and something that I have luckily practiced for a long time that now aids my activism in such a massive way. And that's how I do it. I answer a few more questions. This man comes up to me after, this dairy farmer. He looks at me, he says, what about this, James? What about that? So many objections, so many walls. And I said, this is the answer, that is the answer. And he looked at me and he said, you just got an answer for everything, don't you? And I said, yes. And then he cracked a smile and he unfolded his arms and he said, well, maybe I'll call you later with some more questions. And I said, well, I'll be waiting by the phone, man. And he laughed. And then his wife, who was at least as angry as him, she was glaring at me. I didn't know if I got through to her, so I look at her all cautious. Oh, jeez. And she looks at me and she says, thank you for opening our eyes to this. And I was like, no worries. If I had responded with a trace of aggression or hostility towards this person, I guarantee they would have left. And they would have walked out of there thinking like this: bloody vegans, I hate them, they're so angry, they're our enemies. Did you see how they talk to us? They don't understand us. We need to get rid of them. Who knows, whatever. Lots of anger, right? We would have made another enemy that day and pushed them even further away from veganism. Instead, they walked out there like this: damn, that vegan had some good points. And he was a nice guy, right? Does that mean that they went vegan? I don't know, probably not. But that is a far more positive result than what could have happened. And it planted some seeds, and maybe next time someone speaks to them about vegans, it won't be as negative as what it would have been. And that alone could plant some positive seeds, and who knows the ripple effect? You don't know. But we change the vibe of how people see us. Why not? There's so much to be positive about. You've discovered something that has probably added years to your life and could add years to your friends and family's life and can save so many innocent beings and end this injustice. This is so positive. We should all get positive about it. It's so good. When I talk to people, I think of 3 quotes that help me a lot. Hate the sin, love the sinner. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, that's it. Hate the sin, love the sinner. I said that without thinking about it, and usually I think about it. No, hate the sin, love the sin. That's the one. Don't think I'm talking about selling out on animals here. I'm not. I'm not saying just be cool with it, just be cool with everyone. Not at all. I'm saying be clear as day how you think and what you believe is right and wrong. You stand up for justice wherever you can. You don't sell out on the animals. You hate the sin, but you love the sinner. For example, let's say my brother wasn't a vegan, which he is, and he'd say he was eating animal products. I'd say, mate, I love you, I respect you. You're my brother. But you need to know that I will never, ever respect your choice to consume these products of violence and killing, to treat animals like they are so much less than us, that you are valuing your taste buds over their life. I will never respect that. I think you're wrong. And I'm here to try to encourage you to do better because I think we both should. But I love you, man. Of course I love you, but I think that is wrong. You be clear as day, but you can still be full of love. Hate the sin, love the sinner. I also think, don't blame and shame, inform and explain. That was a quote that just slipped out of my mouth one day. And it rhymed and I went, what did I just say? Write that down. Don't blame and shame, inform and explain. Don't make enemies, you know. Just tell them the facts. The facts are so powerful. What we're talking about, it's a horror show. And it's totally unnecessary. The facts speak volumes. You don't need to add your hostility and yelling about it. You don't need that. Some people you might. Okay, but the majority of people, you don't. Someone one-upped me on that quote, actually. They said, what was that quote you said? Don't blame and hate, inform and educate? I was like, damn you. yeah, that's what I said. And thirdly, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They don't know any better. Someone's arguing against veganism, they're arguing in favour of animal abuse. Does that sound like a logical thing for a rational, good person to do? No, it's not. They don't know what they're doing. They don't really know what they're saying. They don't understand. Don't hate them for it, forgive them for it. For they know not what they do. Those 3 things help me so much when I talk to people. You know, I'm trying to make friends, I'm trying to encourage and support and lift people up. And I have so much more success doing that than anything else I've ever tried. Try it for yourself. See what happens. See if I'm right. See if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is right. See if Gandhi's right. It works. Won't work for everyone. That's okay. Not everyone is going to go vegan no matter what you do. Not everyone's going to stop abusing children no matter what you do. But for the vast majority of people, for the mainstream, and why are we focusing on the mainstream? Because that's where the numbers are. So we should be focusing on the message that reaches the mainstream. In my experience, that is this message that I'm trying to explain tonight. There's so much room for it in the vegan community, obviously, because of this stereotype that we have. We should be striving even more to be all of these good qualities, so we can shatter that stereotype and crumble that concrete wall down for people. It's an important thing to do. And lead the way and show them how it's done, and show how we be compassionate and respectful to people. Model the good behavior that we want to see. How do we get this message out there? How do you help? There are countless ways. Everyone's got a skill, everyone's got a talent, everyone's got a strength, something they enjoy doing. Maybe you're a public speaker, you can do speeches. Maybe you're the videographer, you can record the speeches and put it online. Maybe you have a large social media following, you can put these little things online, pictures, quotes, whatever. Maybe you have a tiny social media following. Put it on there anyway. 100 people is still a lot of people. Maybe you like to write a book, write an article, write a letter. Maybe you like making videos, make a YouTube channel. Maybe you like baking cakes, bake some delicious vegan meals. Maybe you're an athlete, spread the vegan message through your sport. Maybe you love animals and you want to help them open a beautiful sanctuary. Maybe you want to go undercover and do things under the cover of night. Cool, do whatever you think, but what your goal is to spread the vegan message, not the free-range message, not the vegetarian message, the vegan message. Because no one else is going to do that, and that is what we need. So keep that in mind with your advocacy. Paint a picture, spreading the message in a thought-provoking way. Get on the radio, wear a t-shirt. Bad example tonight, but generally I wear them. Do whatever you can do to plant these seeds, to break these stereotypes, to teach people the truth, to do it in your own way. Maybe you want to take a year-long vow of not hearing for a year. Who knows? Do whatever. Do something weird. Whatever you want. I also cycled 5,000 kilometres from one side, so it's like 3,000 miles from one side of Australia to the other, to break that stereotype that vegans are weak and sickly. I got tattooed for 25 hours to show that, well, first of all, to get a whole different crowd of people in. Had really nothing to do with animals, but I live streamed it and they learned about me through that live stream. It can be totally indirect to animals, but draw attention to you, which draws attention to veganism. You know what I'm saying? Be creative. Non-violent, creative, vegan education. That's what we got to do. That's what we need to do. That's what they need us to do. Make a commitment to do it. Nothing else is more important than this. I mean, you get on with your life and you do what you got to do and you look after those in your close circle. But then, look after those that are at the bottom of privileged beings on this planet. Those who have the privilege to know have the duty to act. That is our duty, to act as good people on this planet who see what's wrong and know how to make a difference. Don't be afraid, be courageous. And if you do it in this way, you can become optimistic. You're making a difference. And that contribution is significant and meaningful, and if you don't have a crack at it, you'll never know what you can do. And even when you do have a crack at it, you'll never know how far your contribution will reach. But make a commitment to make a difference. Thank you very much. Thanks. Cool. All right. Is there time for questions? Where's the people at? Is there time for questions? Sure.
Really raining outside.
Yeah.
So actually, if we don't want everyone going outside at once and just sitting in our parking lot.
We do or we don't want that?
No.
We don't want that, people. It is raining a lot. Are the animals okay? All right. Huh? Pardon? I didn't hear.
Maybe a short concerned about how much traction you have in your vehicles because our dry pasture is becoming a mud pit.
Okay, four-wheel drive, stay. Everyone else get out of here. Does anyone need to leave? They're only saying leave if you are worried about the traction of your car.
If you're like me and you never change your tires, I would leave her.
Is it that bad out there? All right, sweet. Look, we can do a bit of Q&A and just see what happens. If you get stuck here, you could be stuck in worse places. It's all good. All right, so just hang on a sec. Anything I've said that you disagree with, please let me know. Anything that I've said that you want to question me on or that I didn't explain fully, please let me know. I'm open to any question, and you know, it's about discussion that helps us all become better, so I'm definitely open to that. But also, just feel free to ask whatever you want regarding anything. Yes. Do you want to?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, sweet.
First, thank you for everything you've done.
My pleasure.
The big question that I'm always being asked, and honestly, I haven't given enough thought or put enough effort into is, how do I feed my dogs and cats?
Great question. How do you feed dogs and cats? This is a tough question. All the dog and cat lovers like, I'm getting out of here before he tells me. Okay, dogs. First of all, dogs can easily thrive on a vegan diet. As of a few years ago, the oldest dog on record was on a vegan diet from birth. Dogs can thrive. So there's many vegan recipes online that you can choose and make. There's also vegan dog foods that are out there that you can also just buy, no worries, and that you can choose as well. So there's that option for the dogs. And obviously that's the better option, because when you're buying animal products to feed your dogs, you're harming one to feed another. And if you don't have to do that, then obviously it's better not to do that.
I want a bunny.
Yeah, well you can have a bunny and they eat plants. So, but, okay, and that brings me to another point, is that if you're going to rescue an animal, it's much better to rescue an animal that can be just herbivorous and eat only plants. That's obviously the best option. But you might have an animal already in your care, or one just comes into your care, you know? So let's talk about cats. From what I've learned recently, actually, is that, well, I already knew that cats need to eat meat because they need taurine, which is a nutrient found in meats. What I've recently learned is that the cat food that most cats eat has been supplemented with taurine, because the quality of it is so bad that there's barely any taurine in it. So they're having a taurine supplement to go with their meat. The good news is that there are vegan cat foods out there with that exact same supplement. And there are many cats out there who thrive on a vegan diet supplemented with taurine, because that's all they need. We make our own taurine, so we don't need to get it from meat. They don't. If you supplement their diet with it, they can be perfectly healthy like that. However, if you're going to do that with cats, especially male cats, you should be careful by checking the acidity of their saliva. Is it saliva? No, it's their urine. And you can do that easily with some little pH strips and monitor their pH. That will give you the idea of whether you should be adding certain things or taking away certain things to their diet. If you don't monitor it, there is a chance that they can get urinary tract infections, which can cause them a lot of pain and sometimes even kill them. So if you choose to do that, then you also have to be a little bit more cautious with the level of health and your level of care with those animals. But there's lots of vegan cat foods out there, and that is definitely a possibility these days. Answer your question? Sweet, cool, thanks a lot. A gift?
Yes, pass it on if you want.
Okay, thanks a lot. I will look at that later. Thank you so much. Yes.
Hi. What would you say to a non-vegan friend who has seen your speech, seen a lot of the information pertaining about why veganism is important, has taken steps towards veganism, like substantial steps, but still isn't really understanding the necessity of making that full commitment and why the little things are important and why like fully committing to veganism after a certain point, like if they need to take steps, is important. What would you say to that person?
What kind of monster are you friends with? A lot of people don't realize the necessities. So many people are not vegan. It seems very normal not to be. So I would just suggest that you keep being that shining light and just making them realize that every time they purchase and consume these animal products, they might as well be the ones stabbing an animal in the throat. You know, there's certain connections that they probably haven't made, and maybe that's one of them, that they feel like whether they stop or not, it doesn't matter. For example, that could be one of them. Again, I would just try to find what is the objection here. Do you think it's too hard to commit to it? Do you think there's not a necessity to commit to it? Do you think that eating a little bit of animal products is okay? So you're saying that a little bit of stabbing animals in the throat is okay. Like, what is it that you think? What is it this person thinks? Find out. Then you can work directly with that. The excuse is broad. It's like, I don't think it's a commitment that I need to make. Why? Why not? What do you think is okay about, you know, what you're doing? And I just go a little bit deeper into it so that you can get them to think about it too. And asking questions is a great way to pull the answers out of them. They have to use their brain. You're not just telling them, these are the answers. You're asking them, they're like, oh, I have to think about it. Oh, I'm starting to sound a little bit like a hypocrite here. So that helps a lot as well.
When do you find is a good time to like bring it up again if you like have already had this talk with them and like steps aren't being taken, like because you don't want to like be pushing it off?
Yeah, that's a good point. You got to be socially aware. You know, you don't just bring it up the next day, or you can, but if it feels right. You know, you got to be socially aware with people. You can easily turn people off wanting to talk to you about it, unfortunately. So I would say that there is some sort of strategy you've got to employ to be effective in this way, but it might just come up when maybe they'll mention they're playing with their dog and you say, hey, that reminds me, or they're eating a meal and you can say, oh, do you want to come, you know, get a vegan meal? And then you're eating a vegan meal, maybe the conversation will come up. Maybe something in the news will come up about a certain animal that evaded slaughter, or a gorilla that got shot in the zoo, whatever. You know, these kind of conversations can come from anywhere. So just jump on any opportunity, you know, and realize like the opportunities are there. And pretty much any time an animal gets involved in a conversation, or I don't know, like you've got to be socially aware, and, or maybe you could even just be direct and just sort of say, listen, remember how we had that conversation the other day? I don't want to seem pushy or anything, but I've been thinking about it and I actually just wanted to bring it up with you again, only if you want, but because I just think, you know, I think it's important, and honestly, I think that if you really understood where I was coming from with it, maybe you'd think it was important too. And maybe not, but I just thought maybe I could put something to you and see what you thought about it. All good if, you know, if you don't want to talk about it, that's cool. Like, you can be real chill about it as well. You know, but I guess you know your friend better than, yeah, so, yeah, it helps to just sort of, you know, you've got to be socially aware, because you can do the opposite as well. Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Yes, up the back there.
I'm a new vegan, so I'm...
Welcome to the party.
So I'm still learning a lot, but the other day, you know, discussing this with someone, he said to me, because I said, you know, he's become vegetarian, but he has not given up his dairy yet. So I was explaining to him that he is still exploiting these animals, and he said, yeah, but you know, when illegal immigrants are picking your fruit and vegetables, you're exploiting them too, so somebody has to be exploited. So what do you say to that?
Huh, it's a good point. Like, animals are not the only ones who are being exploited in this world. Can you be sure about where you're buying your fruit and veg and where the workers are being exploited? I don't think there is any way to be sure. I mean, that I'm aware of. If there is, let me know. You know, because we should all be striving to do better in all ways. But obviously, I mean, what happens in slaughterhouses is very damaging on people's health, especially, generally, low socioeconomic people or immigrants. And that is the highest rate of, what's the word? Accidents, worker accidents in any job force. And also, it is the highest rate of turnover, because it's a very hard job to do, slitting throats every single day, all day, every day. They are treated very badly in there. Then we have to have all those workers who are, let's say that they are workers being treated badly for all those plants, well, they have to be harvested 6 to 12 times even more for the animals. Now, yes, there's a lot of exploitation in the world, and no, we can't just stop contributing to all of it, because we won't even know how. But all we can do is strive to do our best. And still by far, veganism would cause far less harm because it's 6 to 12 times less more of those people who are being treated badly that are harvesting the grains and whatever else. It's also not the deliberate murder of all of these animals as well. So it still causes far less harm, but again, you can't be sure of where your fruits and vegetables come from. That's a very broad statement to say. What you can be sure of is that every single animal product that is in a package on the supermarket got their throat slit and got chopped up into pieces. And so I would say, you're right, that is an issue, and if you know somewhere I can get better fruit and veg, more ethical, great, where? I'm going there. But until you know a better way for us to survive and eat food, you know, it doesn't make sense to starve myself, so I'm just going to do the best I can, and this is by far the path to least harm. And that's all that makes sense for us to be able to do. Yeah, good work, mate. Welcome. Yes, brother. Yo.
Yeah, we're from animal rights at New Paltz at the university.
Cool.
And just looking for like other ways to like get the message out there, you know, like get on campus, like get in people's faces without getting in their faces.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Like doing truth cubes or like stuff like that. You know, any like advice on like how to get out there better, get like presence?
Do you know what's good in a place like that? Like the truth cubes are good, but also what we've done a lot in the universities in Sydney and around Australia is the cupcake challenge, where you're giving them a cupcake, vegan cupcake, if they watch a 4-minute video of what happens to animals. So they come over because they want the cupcake. You didn't force them, they walked on over. And then they sat down and they watched it, and then they like traumatized. And you talk to them about what they've seen, you plant the seeds, you crack some of the walls, and you get to give them a delicious vegan cupcake. So it gets that food out there as well, and it sweetens the deal, and it's a softer approach. It has cupcakes involved, you know what I mean? It's a pretty soft approach, and I think that's a good thing to do at a place where you're going to regularly be, or cookies or whatever, because you can have like a fairly chill vibe. When you're wearing those anonymous masks and things like that, it's still good, and it's one of my favorite forms of activism. But if you balance that out with also, here's some very delicious vegan cupcakes, it softens it a little bit as well. And it really gets a lot of people over, man. Some people want to go and check it out. They just need that little bit extra motivation. So that's a good way. And I know Vegan Outreach, they just do a bunch of leafleting and things like that. Other things you can do, you can like work it in with the curriculum for certain topics. So environmental topics, you could screen Cowspiracy or get a speaker in to talk about the environmental impacts. Health, you could do Forks Over Knives, and you could get them to talk about the health, you know what I'm saying? And then ethics, you know, you can screen Earthlings or whatever. So documentary screenings, and just on documentaries, you want to plant a lot of seeds and make a significant impact in somebody. If you can get them to watch a documentary, Earthlings, Cowspiracy, Forks Over Knives, What the Health, Speciesism the movie, if you can get them to watch one of them, that's 90 minutes of truth bomb, truth bomb, truth bomb, after truth bomb. That's one of the best things that you can do to help someone move on their path, because it is just full of information that will move them in that direction, just on that topic. So yeah, man, and you know, there's a lot of different things you can do, but I think that what you're already doing is good if you're doing the cube and things like that, and you know, adding to that and adding those other like documentary nights and things like that if you can as well, and then be consistent with it, man. And if you've got any new creative ideas, share it with all of us, because we're all looking for other ways as well. Yeah, good work, guys. Where's the thing? Oh, thanks. I got to choose you, man. You don't know this game?
Really?
Nah, you're cool. That is how it works, but you're cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brandon Kirkwood, Vegan News. Please subscribe. About the cat thing. I have a cat. It's part of the reason I became vegan. And you know, I got him before I was vegan, and I haven't found any studies, and I've looked quite a bit on Google Scholar for any studies showing that a plant-based diet is okay with a cat. When I first got him when he was younger, he had a...
I've got one for you, man. I got one sent to me just yesterday, and it was a test. It's on Gary Francione's The Abolitionist Approach to Animal Rights page. Yeah, man, you can look at it right now. It's a peer-reviewed scientific study, and it shows the effects of vegetarian which is a vegan diet on dogs and cats.
Is it the one from Australia where they called in and wrote it?
No, I think it's quite new, man. Like, yeah, so you can check that out. Yeah, check that out, bro. Yeah.
Because my whole thing has been, I make sure not to buy like Blue Buffalo or some kind of organic hipster type stuff. I get like bottom of the barrel garbage basically, because I know it's just the leftovers. But as much as I hate it, but you know.
Yeah. Well, look, if you were in some sort of position where you couldn't feed your cat vegan food supplemented with taurine, then you do have an obligation, a moral obligation to help that animal. You can't just let that animal starve to death. And this is a good point because in a not yet vegan world, sometimes you're going to have to do things that aren't perfectly in line with your beliefs. And that's just the fact. And it's unfortunate, but sometimes, because of the way the world's set up, you're going to have to do things that aren't perfect. You can't be a perfect vegan. For example, the roads that we drive on, they've got animal products in them. Does that mean you stop driving on the roads?
Sure.
No, you drive on the roads.
Sharing acid in the tires.
Yeah, you drive on the roads, but if a vegan road opens up next door, then you start using the vegan road.
All right, thanks, man.
No, it's time for one more question, so make it good. No pressure. Yeah, bro, what's up?
Yeah, it seems that a lot of people take your message because you're patient, and I was just wondering if you had anything to share in terms of the formula or recipe for your patients, in terms of gratitude and your early cancer.
Thanks, man. Good question. I think the patience just comes from mainly the three things. Well, a lot of things I said, that I don't make them my enemy, that I don't take it personally when they react to me. I don't hate the sin. No, yes I do. I hate the sin. I love the sinner though. I don't blame them. I forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. All that. But you kind of did bring up something that I usually like to mention that I forgot. And another thing, you know, like when we talked about how we can just become human haters and hate the world, and there's so much more cruelty than we ever realized, and you don't feel patient, you feel like there's a massive urgency, and there is an urgency. But what I would suggest is don't let that get you down and don't dwell on all that negativity. If I go to a slaughterhouse vigil, for example, where we take footage of the animals that are coming in the slaughterhouse trucks and they going in about to be killed, I don't dwell on the fact of all these individual animals going in there. I think more about, look at all these activists. Yes. I don't think about, you know, what's going to happen in there. Like, it comes into my mind, but I don't dwell on it constantly. I balance that out by thinking about how many people are going to be inspired by the videos we all put up today. How many seeds is that going to plant? You know, I don't think about how many more slaughterhouses there are just in this state and then the whole country and then the world. It might pop into my mind, but I balance that out by thinking about how fast this movement is spreading, how many people are changing, how much good there is. And I think it's really important, and this is just a practice that anybody can do and get better at. It's really important to focus on the good and to shine light on the darkness. And when something is seemingly bad, you make the effort, you make a deliberate effort to find something good in it. Maybe even find 3 good things in it. And when you do that, you will transform your entire life. And then you won't feel so down about what's happening. You'll feel so great about how things are changing. You know what I mean? And that gives us, it's empowering, and it doesn't keep us stuck in a rut or crawled into a hole. It keeps us wanting to do more and move and get it happening. So I think that's just a really important point that you remind me of, so thanks, man. All right, I think that's all I've got time for, but I'll be chilling somewhere anyway, so if you've got any more questions, feel free to come and say what's up. And is that it? That's it? That's it. All right, thanks everybody.